Hello once again everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time joining me today. Hi, my name is Hannah. I make a lot of different videos here on YouTube, sometimes story times, sometimes jewelry related, sometimes makeup related. It's a mixed bag here. I like to believe I have a little bit of something for everybody on the channel. So if you are new here, I highly recommend that you check out the playlists on the channel. Also, I want to go ahead and shout out mine and my husband's Etsy store. It's going to be down below. He does 3D printed things, and I just got a Cricut machine, so I'm going to be trying to do like Cricut stuff on shirts and onesies and stuff like that. And I've been making jewelry, like little charm bracelets and stuff like that. So just check it out down below. We're always adding new stuff. We try to make stuff every day, kind of keep us from going stir crazy since quarantine is still kind of a thing. So yeah, that's what we've been doing. But anyway, without further ado, let's jump into the story time. So the feedback from the annoying roommate story time was really positive. You guys wanted to hear more about it. I got a decent amount of views, probably the most views that I've gotten since I came back to YouTube after having my son. So I figured I would go ahead and give y'all what I promised in the other video, which is like the biggest blow up situation, whatever you want to call it, which led to him actually moving out. So if you haven't seen the previous video, I'll try to have it on the end screen, and I'll try to have it down below, but don't crucify me in the comments if I forget. Anyways, in the last video, I did mention that he decided to move into the mother-in-law house in the backyard, and so I moved all of my stuff into his old room, which was right next to the master bedroom. So in there, obviously, I had all of my stuff, clothes, jewelry, etc. Everything was in there. Well, I spent a lot of my time in the master bedroom, especially during the day and stuff, because for one thing, Dustin's gigantic TV was in there. We had to keep our dog Kess in there because she would like terrorize the other two roommates, you know, so we tried to minimize that. Anyways, me and this roommate still were not getting along. I don't remember what I called him in the other video. I'm just gonna be real. It's kind of late right now. My brain's not working at full capacity, so bear with me. But I do not remember what I called him. But me and him still weren't getting along. I do remember I called the other roommate Brian. Brian was a cool dude, got along good with him, never had any issues with him. But anyway, so all my stuff was in this end bedroom in the hallway, and I was always spending my time in the master bedroom. Didn't really go out in the living room or anything else. I covered that in the first video. But anyway, one particular day, I went into the other room where all my stuff was. I'm just going to call it my room for the purpose of this video because that's what it was. And anyway, I go into my room and I'm getting ready. I think we were going to go out to a restaurant or something. Simpler times when we can go out to restaurants. No, but anyway, I was getting ready to go out to the restaurant with Dustin, and I walk over to my jewelry stand, and I didn't have a jewelry box like I have now. I had like kind of, you know, when you go to a store and you see those gimmicky little things that you can hang your necklaces off of. Yeah, I love stuff like that. I eat it up. So of course I had one of those, and I had all my necklaces hung on it. And, you know, a mix of costume, regular, normal, fine jewelry, whatever. And I was looking for this one particular necklace, and it's a necklace that my mama gave to me when I was younger. It's just a simple gold necklace, and it has a little flower on the end, and the flower, as all the petals, has little rubies. It's a super tiny necklace. It's not really big. It's pretty dainty. And so I was looking, could not find it. And I was like, where the heck is this necklace? Because I know that I didn't put it anywhere, but you know, like I said, it was dainty. And so I was thinking, oh, like, what if I dropped it when I was moving all my stuff? You know what I mean? So I was like mortified that I had lost it. So, of course, I start looking around everywhere. I start looking under the carport and all that stuff, looking, because I did not want to have lost this necklace that was so sentimental to me, and I was like, oh my God, please let me find this necklace. So I searched the carport everywhere, okay, everywhere. And I could not for the life of me find it. And so I'm like, okay, I must have dropped it somewhere like in the midst of the move, like maybe I dropped it outside my old apartment, something like that. Like, it sucks, but it happens, right? So I was like, okay, that sucks. And so I told Dustin, I said, hey, can you ask Brian and the other roommate, again, already forgot what his name was. I was like, can you ask them if they've seen it anywhere? Like, what have they seen it like in the house anywhere? Like, I looked, but obviously just ask if they saw it on the ground or anything like that, right? So he was like, yeah, I'll ask. And so I was like, okay, cool, thanks. So the next day, I end up going back into my room, looking again, like looking all over the floor and all that. But when I enter the room, I notice that the dresser that my jewelry stand is on is against a different wall. What? And so I called Dustin because he had like just left to go to Walmart or something. And I called him and I was like, hey, like, why did you move this dresser in my room? Like, why'd you move it? And he's like, I didn't move your dresser. And so I'm like, well, then who moved it? And he's like, I don't know. Let me ask Brian and the other roommate. And so I'm like, okay, like, that's super weird. What the heck? So anyway, he calls Brian and he's like, hey man, like, did you move the dresser or whatever? And Brian's like, no, like, I never even go in there. I didn't even know she had a dresser. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I didn't do it. And so he's like, okay, whatever. And so he asked the other roommate. The other roommate straight up confessed to moving the dresser. Straight up confessed to moving it. And so he's like, why were you in there moving the dresser around? Like, that's super weird. And I don't remember what excuse he gave, but he was like, oh, I thought, maybe one of my things was in there. Like, maybe it was under the dresser, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what excuse he gave. And so I was like, when Dustin told me that, I was like immediately suspicious, because it's like, for one, why do you feel comfortable enough going into someone else's room and moving and tampering with their stuff? Like, why do you feel comfortable with that? I don't understand. I would never do that. I would never even go into one of their rooms, period. I never went into any of their rooms when they still lived there, ever, okay? And so that was super weird and like kind of an invasion of privacy to me. And I was like, whoa, like, that's weird. I would never do that to you. What made you think that was okay? And so Dustin was like, you could have just asked one of us if we could go in there and look, or go in there with you and help you look for something. And he's like, no, I didn't want to bother you. And so I'm like, okay, do you think that he had anything to do with the fact that my necklace is missing? Because all of my other jewelry pretty much looked like costume. Like, you could pretty much tell it was costume. But that necklace, you could tell it was gold, and you could tell it had gems in it, okay? And I'm not one to like assume the worst of people. I'm not one to automatically be negative about something. I honestly try to keep positive and look for the best in people and assume the best, and just kind of stay on the positive side of things, because I feel like things work out better if you're more positive. So I was like, I feel bad saying it, but like, what if he had something to do with it? Because I swear that I had all my necklaces and stuff accounted for after I moved all my stuff in there. And he was like, well, I'll ask him about it and all that. And so I'm like, okay. So then he asked him about it the next day, and he got really defensive about it. And he's like, I didn't do anything with the necklaces, blah, 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 blah. I didn't do anything, blah, 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 blah. And so he's like, okay, whatever. And he kind of drops it. Well, then the next day, he notices that Dustin notices that this roommate has a different one of my necklaces. Like, he sees him with it, and he's like, why do you have that? Like, that's one of Hannah's necklaces. And he's like, oh, I found it on the floor in her room in there. I thought it was Brian's from when he used to live in that room. Because, okay, it was this nerdy, like, Kingdom Hearts Keyblade necklace, right? It was all silver. It was just a silver Keyblade necklace. And yeah, Brian used to have that bedroom way before this other roommate stayed in that bedroom before I took that bedroom. So the order of it was Brian, other roommate, and then me having this room. And so Dustin's like, why would you think that it was Brian's when Brian hasn't even lived in that room in months? We cleaned everything out of there when you moved into the mother-in-law house so that we can move all of my stuff in there. Why would you just see that on the floor and assume that it was Brian's and so you could take it? Like, why would you assume that? That makes absolutely no sense. That train of thought makes no sense to me whatsoever. I will never understand because I think he was lying. I think he was just saying something to cover for the fact that he took it off of the necklace stand. So then after that little confrontation and incident, Dustin gets that necklace back for me, of course. He takes it back. And then that same day, this other roommate just so happens to find my necklace with the flower and everything on it under the carport, where I've already checked, scoured the ground, okay, spent over an hour looking over this small area of carport. It's not a big carport. There's like room for one car under the carport, and then there's room for one on the side, okay? And I looked in both areas. I looked all around the garbage cans. I looked everywhere. But this roommate, after being confronted about the other necklace, just so happens to find the necklace, the flower necklace with the gems under the carport. Even though I already looked and Dustin already looked, spent, like I said, over an hour looking. But he just so happens to find it all of a sudden after being confronted. So obviously that did not sit right with me whatsoever, and Dustin didn't like it either. And so I basically told him, I'm not going to live somewhere where I can't trust the other people who are also living there. Not talking about Brian, I'm talking exclusively about this other roommate. So I told him, you know, either he needs to go or I'm going to go, because I'm not going to live somewhere where I can't trust the people who go in and out of the front door. And they shouldn't be going in my room, period, because I don't go in their rooms. So, you know, last time I checked, that was not a cool thing to do. So Dustin had a talk with him about it, and they did decide that he would move out. So we did give him, you know, 2 weeks to get his stuff all ready and leave. And in that time, he walked out of a shift at Cane's that they worked at, like straight up, threw his stuff on the ground and walked out. So obviously he was fired from that job, or I guess you could say that he quit. I don't know. But anyway, in that 2 week span, he did that. He kind of went off the rails, it seemed like, and, you know, I don't really care. He moved back to his hometown that he's from, and I hope that he's doing well, but I seriously did not like this guy because he was shady. He would never talk to me about anything to my face. We always had to go through Dustin to do it. Like I said in the other video, you know, I'm sitting here beating a dead horse, but like, I don't like people who are untrustworthy and who will straight up lie to your face or lie to whoever, because he never lied to my face because he wouldn't talk to me. But, you know, lying to Dustin's face, talking about, I've never seen that necklace, blah, blah, blah. Oh, but you saw it when you conveniently saw it under the carport. You knew what you were looking for then, huh? When you saw it under the carport. I literally don't believe a word. I think that he took it off of the jewelry stand and he thought he was going to pawn it and get some money for it, because he was very notorious for pawning everything he had to get money, even though he had a full-time job. Yeah, suspicious, am I right? But yeah, he would pawn everything. Like several times, Dustin had to take him to the pawn shop because this guy didn't have a car Several times Dustin had to take him to a pawn shop to go and pick up his TV that he had pawned, or take him to pawn it again. So it's like, if you're constantly having to pawn stuff while you work a full-time job and you don't have a car, you don't have anything, maybe you should reevaluate whatever you're spending your money on, because clearly it's not a good decision. So yeah, that is the big blow up story of why me and this roommate eventually parted ways, because I basically gave Dustin an ultimatum: either get rid of him or you're getting rid of me. So obviously he chose to get rid of the roommate instead of me, because I mean, hello, I'm a catch. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me again today. Leave me a like if you liked the video, comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe, because I make new videos every Monday and Friday. Thank you guys once again so much for joining me today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.